Flosstube friends, it's Sherry, Colorado Cross Stitcher here on YouTube and also on Instagram. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you're new, a special welcome to you, and if you're coming back and watching me again, I really appreciate you coming back and watching me. I always have fun talking with y'all in the comments below, so I hope you'll subscribe and leave a comment so we can have a little chit chat about, stitching and whatever we want to talk about down there. I have a big finish for you today. I have progress on kind of a medium-sized project. I have a project that I started and finished and fully finished with a new technique to me since the last time we talked. So I'm going to share all of those with you today. I also have my calendar, which I told you we'd go through on my last video. I said I'll share some of my calendar and some of the why I keep a stitching calendar, some of the personalizing that I've done in my calendar in case you're interested in that, because we're coming up upon time to get new calendars for 2023, so that's going to be fun. And then I bought the stash of a former cross-stitch shop owner. She was actually a virtual friend of mine through the knitting shop that I used to own, and she had a lot of old sampler patterns. And I thought it would be fun to kind of share those with you at the end for those of you who are interested, because I had not seen, I don't think I'd seen any of these sampler patterns, and I'm really excited to do some of them. So that's going to be fun. This morning I taped a interview with a Flosstuber with Becca from Sambry Stitches, which was super fun. She's so sweet. And I was so honored to be asked to be on her program. If you don't watch her Flosstube channel, I'm going to link to it below. Be sure you pop over and subscribe. My interview will be up at the end of the month, but she's got so many fun interviews on her channel, and also a lot of just regular Flosstubes where she shares her progress and what she's stitching on. And then she has recently started designing and doing reproduction sampler designs. So those are fun to listen to and hear about as well. So I hope you'll pop over there. When we got done filming, we were just chatting, and she said, I don't know if you saw me backing up while we were talking, but I looked up, and she videos outside on her deck, which looks beautiful, by the way. She lives in the Pacific Northwest, but she said, I looked up and I could see a spider on a strand of web coming down to the top of my camera. And I said, well, that's funny because we got our carpets cleaned yesterday, and the guy left the door open because he was using whatever water from his truck, however they do that. And so we had flies in here. My husband killed like 3 flies this morning. He's like, okay, I think I got it before you get on camera. Well, no. In the middle of my interview, I could see one buzzing around, and it landed just like right on top of my computer where I was filming from. I'm like, please don't go in front of the camera. So we thought we should probably call that interview the interview with bugs that didn't happen. But so now you know what's going on off camera with the two of us. Okay, let's get into it. All right, let me first show you. Let's first do the big finish. So I started this, I think 2 years ago. I looked up and I bought the threads 2 years ago, so I'm assuming I started it 2 years ago. And it's a big project, and it has a space to put a date on it. And sometime this summer I decided I'm just going to stitch in 2022 because I want it finished for this year. Well, we had a lot going on this summer, and so I totally forgot about that. So I was scrolling through my Instagram feed trying to find some information on a pattern that somebody asked about, and I saw that picture, and I'm like, shoot, I said I would finish it in 2022. I better get that out and get it done. So I got it out and got it done. And I love it. I just love it. I think it's beautiful. I can't wait to have it framed, and I'm going to keep it on my wall all the time. So this is Christmas Quaker 2 from Bygone Stitches. And it's upside down. I only saw that because the candlestick looked upside down. I thought, that's strange. All right, here it is right side up. How's that? And it has, I don't remember how many Christmas carols, but it has, I don't know, like 15 or 20 Christmas carols referenced either by name or by motif in here. Super, super fun to stitch. I think it was last time I shared this, I told you the story though. I'm looking at it and I looked at the Let There Be Peace on Earth and I thought, well, that's strange that that one would be done in red when all the Christmas Carol other ones on here are done in green. You just had to let that sink in for a minute because I had stitched it in red and it was supposed to be stitched in green. I couldn't leave that. I had to undo it and restitch it in green because, you know, it needed to be in green. So anyway, I'm really happy that it's done. Here's the, let's see, where's the 2022? Here's the 2022 that I committed to. I put my dad's initials up here because there was a little space for initials up here because his birthday was the day after Christmas, and so we will still celebrate his birthday even though he passed away this summer. We always had a pizza party for the 26th of December, and so we'll continue to do that. But I just thought it'd be fun to put his initials in there because I always associate Christmas too with his birthday. And then at the very bottom, I put my initials, let's see, down in this little heart here. That seemed perfect for initials, and of course I'd already put the date in there, so that's all good. So the thing about Quaker samplers is it's hard to fudge if you make a mistake, and I of course have made a couple of mistakes on this because they're all symmetrical, and you know, if you make a mistake or you get off one row or one stitch or whatever and you come around to the top, you can usually tell. So I just take a little extra care when I'm stitching Quakers because I don't, not that I want to make a mistake on anything, but I just don't feel like I can fudge it if I am not careful. So Quaker Sampler 2. Now I did this on 36 count winter moon with sulky threads, and I have ordered kits for that because a lot of you have asked me for that. So I have the fabric in. Bonnie's working on cutting and serging that this weekend. Still waiting on the sulky threads to come in, and then we'll have those available. So if you're interested in one of those kits, just email us at hello@coloradocrossstitcher.com. All right, the next one that I finished, and this was super fun because I finished it into a drum, and I've never done a drum before. Of course I watched Ivana the Twisted Stitcher, her tutorial on drums. That is another Flosstuber that you just have to subscribe to. She is a professional finisher in her life. She does so much finishing for people, and she has, just out of the graciousness of her heart, shared all of her all of her tricks and techniques in videos. So you can find a video on making pin pillows. I watched her video before I started doing those. And of course she had a finishing technique on drums. And I totally would have done it wrong if I was just kind of, based on my stitching and sewing experience, jumped in there to do it on my own. I totally would have not made a professional looking drum. Anyway, I decided to stitch. Now I just printed this in black and white, but it's a free pattern on the Hands Across the Sea website. I will link to this below, and it's God Save the Queen, Long Live the King. So there it is in black and white. And I don't know, I stitched it back in the week of the Queen's funeral, and I was just thinking about her so much and her long life of service and wanted to do that. So here's my drum. Isn't it fun? All right, so the top says, though absent yet beloved, 2022. I did this on 32 count Havana because I had this left over from one of my other projects. And it calls for, I think it calls for everything done in one color, but it doesn't tell you a color. I don't know, since I didn't print it out in color, I'm not sure what they used, but I decided to use sulky threads on this. So I used a purple because that's kind of like a royal color. And then I used one of the greens, which actually looked a little more Christmassy than what it ended up on here once you mix it in on the Havana. But anyway, so that's that. And then around the edge it says God Save the Queen. Thought this was interesting. The type, the font is very simple on God Save the Queen. And then it has her initials and the crown. I just ordered a crown pin from Amazon, I think, to stick in the top. And then it says Long Live the King. And the font for Long Live the King is a lot more formal looking. So I thought that was kind of a cool touch. So, and it's filled with, per Vanna, it is filled with fiberfill and crushed walnuts. And it's just so slick how she does this. And I can't believe I've made a drum. I've always wanted to make a drum. I think I probably should have stuffed it a little fuller. It feels like when you're stuffing that you're stuffing as much as you could get in there. But looking back, I have some sides that are kind of punky, but that's okay. I'm glad it's done. I love that it's done. Looks like I should be able to lift the top off, doesn't it? Because it's a very wide drum. All the drums I've seen are not so short and squatty, but I just really love the finish. So that was a start and a finish. All right, and then the third thing I had progress on this time was my Happy Hearts sampler by Birds of a Feather. This is a pattern that is out of print, and I was going along on this. I shared it last time, and I'm going to show you a picture to see if you can pick out the mistake that I made right here. So I didn't notice that when I took that photo, and I think I put it on Instagram. I certainly didn't notice it the last time I was showing you my progress on that. But all of a sudden I realized, I'm not going to be able to fit a second bird in there. What I had done is I started this bird over here in the wrong space. I counted off the top heart instead of the bottom heart. So I had to take that whole bird out. That's one of those other things. And I could have fudged that, but I really wanted both birds at the top. That was kind of the point of the Happy Hearts sampler. So here's my progress on that. It has been so fun to work on, and I don't have that much left to go. I have the numbers across the bottom, and then there's a little red border down here underneath the numbers. You can see I have to do that, and then I have to do the 3 lines of alphabet, lowercase alphabet. So I did change some things in here. I'm not sure when this was published. I don't know that it says on here. Probably should. Let me see my glasses and see if it says. No publishing date. I noticed that nowadays when you can personalize, either there are alphabets included that are the same size that you can use for personalizing, or the designer usually includes a whole alphabet for you to personalize. Well, this one doesn't have that. The pattern is just the pattern that you see on the front. So I did change some things, and that kind of goes along with our sampler camp. And if you don't know sampler camp, go to our website under the What's New drop-down box and you can read about it. But the challenge this year for sampler camp was change something on the sampler you're working on. So on this one, she had initials, glasses again. I so hate having to wear glasses to see. All right, she had an initial in the one heart, she had 3 initials in the other, and she had the date in the bottom heart. So those are the 3 things I want you to look at on this pattern. So initial on the top heart next to the bird, and initials next to the other bird, and then down in the bottom, 1832. And I didn't want to do any of those. And also initials in the pair of hearts over there. So I changed all of that up. So I made these 2 hearts solid, just color. I just filled in color on those. I did put my husband's and my initials here, and then I decided to put the word joy because it's the Happy Hearts sampler. I didn't want to do 1832. I didn't necessarily want to do the year we were married, so I just put the word joy in there, and I like how that all turned out. And then when I frequently, almost all the time when I do samplers, I make the initials of our family members a different color. So did that in that uppercase, and I'll do that in the lowercase as well. So I'm really having fun working on it. The reason I didn't put it down is because one of you wonderful people let me know that you have Joyous Christmas by Birds of a Feather that I've been looking for forever, and you're going to lend it to me, and I'm so thrilled about that. So I offered her, if she wanted Sally Spencer or Happy Hearts, to borrow that from my stash, and she wants to borrow this one, so I thought, well, I better get it done then. So I'm able to lend it out. So I'm really happy with that. I hope to have that finished by my next Flosstube. All right. Let's see. Let's talk about 3 things. So 3 things is just something I like to do on my videos, and several of you guys have commented that you enjoy that, so I will keep doing that. The first thing is a new Instagram account that I'm not sure how I got hooked in with it. You know, sometimes they appear in your feed, and it's called The Potter's Cup, and I will link to that below. And I'm not going to show you her profile or any of her photos because she's an artist and I don't want to infringe on anything. She does the most amazing mugs, and they're like $160, so I will never own one. But she is, you know, it reminds me of folk art. It reminds me of just happy, joyful quilters, stitchers, knitters. I mean, all of that I see put into this mug, which is just a thing of beauty. Like if I was able to afford one, I would never use it, because if you dropped it, you would just not be happy. Anyway, she is an incredible artist, and I think you'll enjoy looking at her mugs. And even she has some videos of her. She started doing some quotes and things on the inside rim of her mug, and just watching her writing is so beautiful. Of course it is, because the details she puts into her mugs are so cool. So I will link to her below, but if you're on Instagram, I don't think you have to be on Instagram to check Instagram, so check her out. The next thing is, I've seen people sharing little containers for their little spools of thread, like the sulky threads or the Soie or Soie 103s, but they're antiques. So I don't know how long those antiques will last, but another one of you emailed me with a link to these little boxes, which I got on Amazon and ordered them. They came from Australia, but they're perfect. So I have one for my sulkies and one for my 103s and Soie, which I stocked up on at the attic this summer. So they hold 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27 spools. So they came in a set of 2. And for me, I probably won't store, well, you could store your inventory of them, but a lot of us will end up with a lot more than that. But I thought, if you're doing a project that, you know, takes 27 different spools, this is a really nice way to carry them and then tuck them into your project bag or your carry-all bag. And so these are by Gutermann, the thread company, and I will link to those below too. Noisy, sorry, get it out of the way. So that's thing number 2. Okay, thing number 3. I told you that I bought the stash from somebody who contacted me and wondered if I was interested in it. Well, she originally contacted me for to see if I was interested in her stash of sampler and antique needlework magazines. And she had all of the magazines except for, I think, 4 in the 60s somewhere, and then the last few at the end. And would I be interested? And I just hopped on that quicker than you can blink, because what a treasure these magazines are. And I am so excited to have almost all of them. I did go on eBay. You can find them on eBay. I did go on eBay and bought the last 8 I think I needed on eBay yesterday. So now I'm just looking for those few in the 60s. 60 to 64 I think is what I need. anyway, this was published from 1996 or 1991 through 2015. It was a quarterly magazine, and in here you will find articles on different types of needlework, different tools of the needlework trade, patterns that they've published. A lot of them are patterns that have never been published anywhere else. And like this one had I'm not going to show patterns. This one had a big article on tatting, which is something my dad's mother used to do. She used to do tatting. Tatting is just making a series of knots to do pretty edging, and so these are the tatting shuttles. So I loved reading about that. And also in this one, well, like this sampler is in there. I think that's beautiful. And anyway, I've learned so much, and I just started reading them. I thought if I read half of a magazine before I go to bed every night, I'm still going to go well into the new year reading all of these wonderful magazines. But I realized how much I'm going to learn from it. Now I've picked up an individual copy here and there when I see them available, but to have the whole stash is amazing. Now you can get a CD, and I've seen that on Amazon, so I will link to that. I think some local needlework shops have that as well. But I'll link to the one on Amazon in case you don't have a local needlework shop that carries them. And it's a CD of all the copies. So all of the pages, all of the years, all of the issues for $49. Now, I had never bought that because I felt like, well, $49. I mean, that's a lot of money. But it's 80 issues of this magazine. And once I started really reading through this, I thought, I'm going to learn so much reading this. The one that I started reading last night has an article on old antique thimbles, including scrimshaw thimbles, which just fascinating to read about. So not even including all of the patterns you get that you might want to do. I mean, even if you do, 5 patterns out of the 80 issues, it would well cover your cost. But I just think of it as a $49.99 investment in a class. Like if you were going to take a class on needlework, this is more hours than you can even count of information and things that you can learn about our industry, about just people in the past who've come before us, the tools they used, the techniques they used, the things they did. So I don't know. I now that I've gotten this whole stash of them, I think, why didn't I order that CD a long time ago? Because I am going to have so much fun going through there. And sometimes I'll share some of the things I'm learning as I go through because it's just fascinating. It's really cool. So that's thing number 3. If you want a crash course in needlework and the history and the tools and the times, consider getting one of those CDs or ask for it for Christmas. Christmas is coming up, so maybe you could do that. All right. That's the 3 things. Now let's move on to calendars. First of all, we don't have the Needlework Press calendars in yet. Vicki thought those would be in sometime in October. I do have a list of you who are interested in and are on our pre-order list, so you're welcome to email us if you would like to be on the pre-mail list. If you'd like to be on the pre-order list, email us and we will put you on the list. Good grief. All right. I obviously can't tape 2 things in one day because anyway, we're going to talk about the calendars. I do want to let you know that we have the Reflet de Soie calendars in, and those are in stock ready to ship, and those are really cool too. Same size, a little bit bigger because it comes from France and their paper sizes are a little bit different. But it's beautiful, and the cool thing about that one is this one opens like a book this way. Well, this way. All right, and the Reflet de Soie opens like a calendar you would hang on the wall this way. And she has some old sampler illustrations and motif illustrations on the top parts. I mean, it's just beautiful. And then she has extra pages for events you might go to, or tracking your stash, or those kinds of things. Those are in French, so you might have to use Google Translate to figure out what that page is about, but it's just beautiful. It comes with a sheet of stickers, and it comes with a pencil, and it's packaged up pretty. So we do have those in stock, and I meant to bring one to show you today, and totally didn't think about it last night when I left work, so we don't have that to show. Now, why do you want to keep a stitching calendar? Well, there's a lot of reasons to keep one. I had tried to keep one a couple of years ago, and I just kind of petered out. I thought I went through like April, but I actually went through October. I found it the other day, and I just would write every day what I had accomplished, and I thought, I don't know that that's that helpful. Like, will I ever need to go back and say June 5th, 2018, what was I stitching? You know, I hadn't made it useful to myself, so I didn't keep up with it. I didn't do it for the next couple years. Then I started seeing everybody on Flosstube sharing theirs and the stickers, which are fun. And I have loved keeping this year. I'm so happy to have a record, and I've made mine more into kind of a yearbook of my creating and stitching and that kind of thing. Kept a few other things in there that happened during the year, and so I really feel like I've personalized mine. Now, maybe you want to do that or maybe not, but I thought I'd share with you some of the pages, some of the specifics. I shared this with you, I think, in my first Flosstube in January when I first added the pages, and I always share my page of the month with you when I do Flosstube, but today I just thought I'd go through it a little more thoroughly in case you're thinking, I don't know if I want to do that or not. I don't write in it every day, but I do catch up. So about every 3 days, I will write in it, and of course I can remember what I stitched 3 days ago, so I just fill that information in. Somebody left a message on my last Flosstube and said, I don't get the stickers. Like, what with the stickers? You know, for me, it just adds a little color, it adds a little texture, it adds a little fun. A lot of times the stickers have to do with that particular month. Sometimes I put a sticker in that has to do with that particular project, and I think as a former scrapbooker, I'm just having fun playing with stickers again. And you know, I sticker up all my pages. Like, I don't really want white space, and that might drive some of you crazy. Some of you have a lot more moderate use of stickers. Some of you don't use stickers at all. Anything and everything is just great, however you want to make it. But my point today is just to give you some ideas on how I've done mine. So, and I did have somebody email me and say that they liked how I've doctored up mine, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. Would I consider selling a version of the doctored up? And I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to be doing that. So I don't know how much it'll add to the cost of the calendar. The calendars are $15. I don't know if it'll add another, I don't know, $6 or $8 to it. I have to figure that out. But if you're emailing me to be on the pre-order list and just want the calendar, just say I'd like to be on the calendar list. If you want the doctored up version, let me know that too. So what does the doctored up version mean? Well, I like to spiral bind things that I use frequently. So I always spiral bind larger patterns, like his eye is on the sparrow. I spiral bound that particular pattern, and the lilies one as well. And so it was a no-brainer that I wanted to spiral bind this calendar because I'm going to be flipping it open. I like to work on it better when it lays flat. I also put a clear cover on the front and back of mine just to kind of protect those front and back pages. So when I say the doctored up version, it would be spiral bound, it'll have your clear covers, and it'll have a few extra pages of cardstock in the back that I have uses for that I'm going to share with you. So and as far as stickers go, I mean, you can get stickers everywhere. I just got the new Antiquarian book of stickers. This is for 2023. This is fabulous. This is another thing where you don't really realize the value until you get it and start looking through it, because it's like $24 or something, which is a lot of money just for a book of stickers, but it's over 1,000 stickers. When you start pricing stickers, you can see that that's probably not a bad idea. Now, just a note, there are weird stickers in here too. I mean, there's wonderful stickers in here, but you know, there's some weird ones. Let's see if I can find a page of weird stickers. Well, some of these are weird. Black. Some of those black ones are a little different. Some of them are fun, but some of them are, I don't know. All right, like this one. Snake in a pink shoe? Like, I don't know. What's that about? That is not one that I will be using in my calendar. But there are a lot of really great stickers. First of all, you have all the letter stickers in the back, which I make very liberal use of in my calendar. I will show you that. This one has fabulous Christmas stickers this year. Let's see if I can find them, which I'm not going to be able to use all of them. There's so many of them. And they're just beautiful. And they just have some quirky stickers. I don't know. Here's the Halloween stickers. I thought those are kind of fun. The one from this year also had fun Halloween stickers. Let's see if I can find Christmas. Of course, they have cat stickers, which you know I love cats. Let's see, is this Christmas? Yes. Here's one of the Christmas pages. I think there are 2 pages, so I'll show you one. I'll let you discover the rest. But there's some fun Christmas stickers for you too. So it is well worth the money. I used my last one last year, and I probably have only used 1/3 of the stickers in there. So I'll either keep that one, or maybe I'll give it away to somebody. Somebody suggested I donate it to a school or to a teacher who always uses stickers, but you know, there's some weird stickers in there. I don't think I'm going to donate that to a school. Maybe I'll give it away, and some of you guys might like those. So anyway, I will link to that below, but I used those stickers. First of all, I went through and put a capital letter on all of my months. So that's what I used some of those alphabet stickers for. And I'll just flip through, and then I'll go back and kind of talk about some more specifics. So February, you can see how I added the stickers. I also, on my front page, added my initials down here. And what I do on this page is I just put different things. Like, there were a lot of stickers that I thought, oh, that's really cool. I want to make sure that I keep that one somewhere where I see it. So a lot of those stickers I put in the front. Like, I loved this owl. I put one of our stickers that we put on packages as we ship them out with a picture of the shop. I love cardinals. All right, and then on this page I put some stickers. I put a picture of my Gracie girl who we had to put down in January. Of course, a picture of me and my dad, and a heart with a hole in it, because those things were things that happened this year that were heartbreaking and hard for us. So at the front 2 pages, now they have beautiful quotes about needlework and different illustrations. I just covered a lot of that up. Not that they're not really cool, but I wanted more space to put the things in here that I really liked. So I don't have any problem covering things up. And my word of the day, word of the year this year was create, and this is Teresa Koget's saying create every day, and so I ordered that sticker on her website. And really let's go to an empty month that I've just stickered up and not written on. Sometimes I will be looking through the sticker book, and I'll just think, oh, that would be really good for December. Let me open up December and pop that in there. When I do stickers, I make sure that I put them like in the corners, so I still have plenty of room on all of those 4 days to fill in what I want to fill in. So I never cover a complete square with it. I just kind of do corners or along the bottom. I added some washi tape up here, and you know, I use these spaces where they have different quotes to use up some of the pretty big stickers that I think are so pretty that I love. November, I've got November started with some fun things. Did you ever see that Andy Griffith show, The Loaded Goat? That's what this reminds me of, how they think the goat ate dynamite, so they're trying to usher the goat through town and out of town before he explodes. That's what that reminded me of. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have put a goat in there. A lot of fun ones for Halloween. Now look, see, I haven't filled in what I worked on these last 3 days. I will fill that in probably tonight, but So I just go through and kind of add stickers ahead of time, and then sometimes I go back and fill in with stickers and, you know, fill in some of the spaces. Again, stickers are, you know, you like them or you don't like them, but I have a lot of fun with the stickers. So again, put the big ones in place before you start writing, and then fill your writing in. And so I'll just flip through. I don't know if you're interested, but I'm going to flip through the few months here so you can kind of see what's going on. This is the month we sold the Loopy U, so I have a fun Loopy sticker in there. So some of the stickers are there for a reason. Like, for example, well, I'll get to May in a minute. April. In May, I drove down to see our son in Albuquerque, so I bought some fun stickers there, down here. So I put a lot of those on there. So super fun. Now, what do I track on all of these sides? Well, down here I put all my starts and what fabric I used, what count I used, if I substituted any of the threads. This to me is the most beneficial thing of keeping a stitching calendar, because I've wanted to go back and figure out, you know, what fabric was that. I loved working on that. And to keep it all in one place is just really handy for me. So that's what I put here. I also include stash that I bought that particular month. Sometimes I run out of room and I have to write it on the edges here. So that is probably the most helpful for me in keeping a stitching calendar, is just seeing what I've worked on and what I've used. And also looking back and thinking, wow, I started that January 1st. I got to get moving on that. That's been, you know, marinating for too long. So again, I'll just kind of flip through so you can see kind of what I've done. A lot of times with the washi tape, I'll fill that in at the end. I love looking at it. I mean, it's just like all of the fun, it reminds me of all of the fun stitching things I've done all year long. This bottle, like, would I have ever bought a sticker with, what is it even, Hazeline? No, but I love the color. And that's a lot of it with the stickers too, is the colors I think are creative and inspiring. So I love to add the stickers just for the color inspiration. And again, if you've watched my Flosstubes, you've seen all these pages, so I'm just gonna flip. September and October so far. So I have a lot of fun doing it, but even more importantly, it's a great reference for me. Then I decided, you know, I think there was one empty page at the back. Let's see. And I thought, well, I need to, or I want to, keep track of the different smalls that I want to make and the different samplers that I want to make. And you know, as your stash grows, it grows and you forget exactly what you have. And I thought there are specific ones that I really want to remember, keep at the top of my mind. I don't want to necessarily have just a container of them. I want to write down and make a list of them. So that's what I started doing in the back. Samplers to stitch and things to stitch for a seasonal wall, things to stitch for smalls. So that's what I did on the back page. And then I also added a planning page because I needed more room. And you'll see where I used those letter stickers again to spell out the word plan. And then I started thinking of other things that I wanted to keep track of in my now a yearbook, not just a calendar. Here are the smalls that I want to work on. So that was a fun page to do. So basically the last 3 pages are just plans or lists that I want to track with my patterns. And then I think Laura Modern Beaux-Art on Instagram was the one that said maybe she was going to keep track of her events in one of her calendars or books. So I did an events page. So I put in there market that I went to in March, and then the attic retreat, which you all need to go to because it was super fun. I put pictures from that in there. And then I have a page of stash that I've purchased this year, which I need to add to. And the other thing I like to do is I have that little Polaroid zip printer, and I will link to that. Actually, I think I linked to it in all of my latest videos because it is super handy for stuff like this. Like I found that sheep sticking his tongue out, and I loved that photo. Well, where am I going to put that photo? I'm going to put it right in my calendar. It's not like I'm going to put it necessarily on my refrigerator, or, you know, I don't make regular scrapbooks anymore, but it's fun to put in here. I say that's how I feel about people who want to talk about maybe I shouldn't be buying stash. But also these little photos, like I don't need full-size photos of all of this, but I want enough photos to remember the fun time. So I love that little Polaroid zip printer because it prints right from my phone. It prints out in less than a minute, and I can stick it right in my calendar, now called a yearbook. And then a lot of us traded floss drops this year, and I have all of my floss drops that I've received from people in a box to use, but then I took one from each so that I can remember where I got them, because I thought, you know, some of them had names on them and some didn't, and I didn't want to forget who sent them to me. So I have several pages of those floss drops, which were fun. And then on this page I added some floss drops, but a couple of extra things like the Tetelestai pattern that I did came with this little photo or printout of the original antique, and I thought that was cool. And a couple of thank you cards that were included in orders from Market that I just thought were really neat. And then I also did a of note page. This is new, and I wanted to just remember that this was the year of my brother buying that house, which is the story I told in my Flosstube, last Flosstube, number 31. And then also the Queen passing away. And again, I just looked up pictures of the Queen online and then copied them into my photos and printed them out. Now I'm not selling them, and I'm not, you know, using them for advertising, so I think that's okay that I do that. And then we started our stitch nights at the shop this year, this September, so I put a picture of our first group of stitchers. So just things of note, things that I want to remember from the year. You could also include in there any little cards or handouts you get, or things that you want to remember, things that really had an impact on you. And then I have finishes for the year, and all of these are my small finishes. I have not photographed my large finishes yet because I keep thinking, well, I'm not going to photo them until I frame them. And now I think if I get to the end of the year and haven't framed them, I might just photo them anyways. But that's most of my finishes that I've done for the year. And I love being able to look back and see those things that I've done too. And then this was just a page that, again, I put my 2022 word of the year spelled out in those alphabet letters, a couple of stickers I loved, flowers that my daughter gave me, so I printed out a photo of that. And then I have, let's see, these were 2 pages already included in the calendar, so I used this for like the reward of merit that we got at the attic, a sticker from one of my friends. This was on one of our kits that we got at the retreat. My 2 kitties. I love this little sampler, which is now one of the new samplers from Hands Across the Sea, but it came on one of the Minnie McBee little lapel pins that I bought this summer. So that's just, again, a fun page. Like, where do you put all those little things in your life that you think that is really cute? I love that. Then you toss it, or it gets tossed in the junk drawer or in the desk drawer or whatever. Now I have a place to put the things that are fun. Advanced planning for 2023. So I'm just scheduling myself to have very frequent stitching retreats. So I'm gonna go, I go up to the mountains for weekend getaways once in a while. Well, I've put myself in there every other month. I'd love to go to the Bristol weekend at the attic in June. Of course, I want to go back to summer school in August, and then I scheduled another mountain retreat. So if you schedule it, you can schedule around it. If you just think, you know, we should do that, and you don't schedule it, it doesn't get done. And it was reinforced to me so much how important that is for me to get away and have that creative time. And it's important for you too, just to be able to focus on things that bring refreshment and enjoyment and inspiration to you. So I'm planning ahead on that. And that's the whole book. So again, why keep a calendar? It's a great place to put your things that maybe you come across or you receive during the year. It's a great place to keep track of all of the things that are important to you and all of the things that you've been able to do that year. And it's just a fun reflection, like all scrapbooks are. It's fun to look back through your times that you've had and the things that you've been able to accomplish. So if you would like to pre-order that calendar, a plain calendar, just let us know you want a calendar. If you're interested in the doctored version, you can let me know that too. Again, it's hello@coloradocrossstitcher.com. All right, let's talk about giveaways, and then I want to show you a couple new patterns from the shop, and then I'm going to show you the antique sampler patterns, if you're interested. All right, giveaways. Last time you had to use the word no. Deborah from Joyful Stitching Store donated this beautiful project bag, and Janice Davies is the winner of that bag. Janice Davies. So Janice, if you will get me your address, I will get this shipped out to you. And the one for this time was sent to me by the Crafty Bobbin. And she sent me 2 project bags, one for sampler camp prizes, which will go out at the end of December, but then she sent me an extra one for a Flosstube giveaway. And look how beautiful that is. Isn't that really pretty flowers? Okay, so the key word, if you're interested in having a chance to win this, is floss. And I'm going to tell you in a minute why, because it's going to be our word of the question of the day. So floss if you're interested in this. All right, from the Crafty Bobbin, I will link to her below as well. Question of the day last time: how do you refresh when you're having a slump in your stitching? Well, people said they watch Flosstube, they go to their LNS, or they go online to their favorite online LNS, they get together with stitchy friends. Some said I go for a walk outside and that seems to rejuvenate me. So there are a lot of ways to get your stitchy bug back if you've lost it. And so know that about yourself. Think about what can I do, or what things will help me if I'm in a slump and I've just lost the bug and I want to get it back. So there are some fun things you can do. All right, let's do the question of the day for next time. And that's why it's going to be easy to use the word floss, is what is your absolute favorite color of floss? Just one color. So if you had to pick just one color to stitch with forever, what would be that one color? And it can be a DMC color, it can be hand-dyed floss, it could be silk floss, it can be sulky, or whatever you want. What is your one absolute favorite floss? And I usually tell you what mine is when I tell you the question of the day, and I have to think about that because I'm not sure, but I will tell you next time. I'm going to figure that out before next time. All right, so let's go through a few new things at the shop. Again, I have coloradocrossstitcher.com. So appreciate your orders, and we have fun packing them up. I love seeing what everybody's getting. I love imagining the joy you're going to have working on that pattern. Sometimes I pull floss and I think, oh, I wonder what they're making out of this, because these are gorgeous. So we appreciate your orders, and we just love packing them up for you. Again, if you get your order in before noon Mountain Time, we usually get them out the same day. We work really, really hard to get orders out the same day or the next day if they come in after the noon time. So anyways, I wanted to show you a few. Now this is one I got for my own self, and Margaret Beatty, 1866. Okay, what I love about this one are the colors. Look at those colors. And she gives colors for 103s, Soie d'Alger, and DMC. And I think it would be just as beautiful in the DMC. I did pull the Soie d'Alger for myself. So here are the colors. And they're just happy colors. I saw somebody working on this. I don't remember who. but I was just bowled over by how colorful and happy looking this sampler is. And I just have to think about that girl who stitched it. She must have just been a colorful person in life, don't you think? So this is from Hands Across the Sea, little girl playing with bunnies. Then they have two sisters, Charlotte Entwistle and Margaret Entwistle. This, if you recognize it, is that same little card that I have in my calendar yearbook that came on a Minnie McBee's little accessory. And so now you can stitch the pattern. The thing that appealed to me about that one is also the bright, happy colors. And I just think that would look really pretty in a wall full of samplers. Now her sister took a kind of a different approach, and I wasn't sure at first glance about this, and then the more I look at it, the more I just think that would be super fun to make. She's got some interesting motifs going on in there, and I love it. I haven't pulled the colors on that one yet to see, but I just think it's really interesting. Then I got some new hands-on design patterns. And they're not new, they're new to me, new to the shop. One is Winter Solstice. And let's see, the two things say Solitude and Serenity. Yes, Solitude and Serenity. And I just love the log cabin look on those with the smoke coming up out of the chimney. Really fun for winter pin pillows. Sometimes I really have to look for winter kinds of things because a lot of it's Christmas, and sometimes I just want things that I can put up in January, leave up January, February that are more snow related. This would go for Christmas or into the winter. First Frost. And I think those are finished to be like cloches, but they would be adorable as just a horizontal pillow. I love the soft colors and of course houses. I always love houses. This is another one that I'm going to make. Not only do I love the colors, but I love the sentiment. And I'm going to make the picture, not the drum, because I want to see all the words. Stitch every day. But aren't those colors beautiful? Again, not new, but new to me. And then this one, my Stitcher's Heart. And this one comes with a scissor fob, a wax keeper, a pin cushion, and a hexagonal top that you can either finish in the round or as a hexagon or put it on top of a box lid, but all the things we Stitchers love. So those were all for hands-on design. All right, now let's just go through, for those of you who want to stay and are interested, let's go through some of these old sampler patterns. I'm going to pull them out of the plastic as I go. I didn't want to separate them because some of them are kitted up and ready to go or have the fabric. So, and I'm going to put my glasses on so I can tell you the exact name. All right, this first one is Amy Eliza Herbert Sampler by the DAR Museum. Oh my word. I cannot wait to work on that one. Isn't that beautiful? It says the Porcupine Collection on the back. So, Amy Eliza Herbert. Look at that checkerboard house. Checkerboard, different colors of checkerboard. There's just so much in there. So that one's going to be super fun. Again, these are, I'm sure, out of print, but I'm showing you because I hadn't seen them and I thought you might enjoy seeing them too. All right, this is a traditional sampler kit, chart only. What is the name of the kit? It's a Moira Blackburn. I don't know if it tells me. A time and season sampler. Okay, time and season sampler. Well, I love that too. I love the borders. It's got like a double row of borders with the alphabet, florals. No house, but I love everything else in there. I love those trees, the big fat apple trees at the bottom, and then that tall skinny one going up the middle. Super fun. To everything there is a season and a time. It's a good thing I can read through the back of this. So that one is fun. Time and Season Sampler by Moira Blackburn. This one is Hester's Needle True Virtue Sampler. I know this one does have a really fun house. Okay, the picture is kind of small, so I'm going to try and get way up close so you can see that picture. True Virtue Sampler, Hester's Needle. That looks like that's from 1997. Very cool. That's back when they would put real pictures on the front of the pattern. Okay, this one I want to do Post Haste. Pumpkins and Peacocks by the Good Housewife. I love that. Pumpkins and Peacocks. Isn't that fun? Oh, look, there's a whole list of other samplers available from the Good Housewife. That I did not need to know because I usually love all of her stuff. I probably don't need to have that list, but I love this. Pumpkins and Peacocks. All right, we got a few littles here that I don't need to go through. Okay, this is a Birds of a Feather. This would be a fun summer sampler. What is it called? No bees, no honey. And I do have a few bee pin cushions, pin pillows. Do you call it pin pillows or pin cushions? I would like to know that. But that's a pretty one. I like most of Birds of a Feather too. All right, here's a 1798 Quaker sampler by the Good Housewife. This looks really fun. Plenty of places to personalize in there, which is great. English Quaker sampler from England. And it says she filled in just about every spot possible, stitched the date 4 times, and put in 39 sets of initials. Seriously, that's funny. Really pretty though. All right, this one is Rebecca Valentine. Rebecca Valentine from Samplers of the Past and Present. Is that the name of the designer? That one's really pretty, huh? According to the provenance accompanying this sampler, Rebecca Valentine was born in 1730 in Massachusetts and died in 1820 at the then remarkable age of 90. That is amazing. While her work is undated, Rebecca most likely executed the sampler around 1740 as a novice embroiderer. Her color palette, whimsical bird-topped trees, and sawtooth border appear in other Massachusetts samplers of the time. That's really pretty. Elizabeth Moore from the Leitner Museum in St. Augustine, Florida. Who is this by? Maybe by R&R. Really soft, subtle colors on this one. Not a lot of motifs. She stitched her sampler in 1787 at the age of 11. The sampler states that she was in the 12th year of her age, but the colonials started counting your age from conception. Okay. This is another really pretty one. I'm not going to take this one out of the plastic because it's stickered down. Sarah Jackson Goolsby, Threads of Gold. Sarah Jackson Goolsby. Oh, shoot, I hope you weren't looking at the back of that because I see the chart there. That looks like it's fun to stitch. I'm just looking at the chart on the back. It's got some fun alphabets in there, doesn't it? Okay, then we have, also not taking this one out because it's in a package, the Ann Keeler sampler by Macintosh Samplers. This has a pretty saying, a really simple border and really pretty natural colors used in the actual work. Ann Keeler by Macintosh Samplers. and it's a reproduction because they do reproductions. And then also by Macintosh is the Mary Jane Smith sampler, which kind of reminds me, it's got those two fat apple trees down at the bottom like that other one, and I just really like fat apple trees, I guess. The Mary Jane Smith sampler by Macintosh Samplers. It's got a lot of pretty things going on. This one is the Isabella Much, M-U-T-C-H sampler. Now that's a really pretty house. And also a fun tree on the side. Look at that house, done in really soft colors, but a bright yellow in there. And then a really fat little apple tree. Maybe I'm gonna be into apple trees lately, I don't know. I like apple trees, and it's got a lot of alphabet going on at the top, doesn't it? And then it has a saying. The verse reads, "The loss of gold is much, the loss of time is more. The loss of Christ is such a loss that nothing can restore." And she spelled much, the loss of gold is much. She spelled it like her last name, M-U-T-C-H. That's cute. Oh, now this one has other stuff going on in it besides just stitching, and I've always wanted to do a sampler that had more specialty stitches going on. This might be a good one. The Dogwood sampler by the Needles Praise, and Praise is P-R-A-Y-S-E. You know, you could also do just the top of that sampler. I don't know that I'd do the bottom cut work, but isn't that pretty? I think the top, just the top, and leave off the cut work on the bottom would make a really fun size sampler too. All right, and then we have the ES Spot Motif Sampler, which I know has been reissued. Well, this was, I guess, the first one by Of Female Worth. So now I'm going to have to do that one. And I do like it. It's got some fun things going on in there. Let's see, a wedding band sampler. This is by Homespun Sampler. And what I love about it are the fun colors. You know, it's obviously not a reproduction sampler, but it's got some really pretty colors in there. And it uses rice stitch some point. I love rice stitch, so that'll be fun. Okay. The Pomegranate Sampler by the Needles Praise. Now this is cool because it kind of has a double border, a few bands going across. And that's kind of pretty, isn't it? The Needles Praise. This reminds me of a Christmas sampler, I guess just because of the colors, although like the flowers looked almost snow-capped. This is Sally Haynes, 1785 by Old Colonial Designs. And again, the colors in that one are what I love. Looks like this is from 1995. I don't know. I stitched in the 90s. I guess I just wasn't aware of samplers back then because I don't remember seeing any of these patterns back then. Some of you are probably like, oh yeah, I have that one. This is Sunshine and Shadows sampler, and I love all the chocolate colors in there by Bright Needle. Says this piece combines several of our favorite antique alphabets and many of our favorite motifs. Huh. If you look carefully, you'll see the samplers divided in half along the northeast to southwest diagonal. The upper section is Sunshine, stitched in light green and gold, and the bottom section stitched in darker tones of the original colors. Okay, never mind. So it's not chocolate colors, but does definitely look Sunshine and Shadows. Kind of going through some of these and taking them out. Okay, this has an amazing border. I mean, that really takes center stage. Farewell, My Friend sampler by Hester's Needle. Look at how fat that border is. I don't have any samplers that I've done like that, and that might be a fun, different addition to a sampler wall. Hester's Needle from Manchester Road in Baldwin. That's kind of where I used to live in St. Louis. Huh. Interesting. All right, again, going through some of these. Oh, this one. This one I really want to do. This is Rhoda Hastings, 1863. And it's just full. It's just full of beautiful things, isn't it? I mean, that is quite the project. Look at all the things in there. Yeah, that's probably going to have to be a must make. And then the Anne Passfield sampler. Also love this. You know, I like samplers that have simpler borders because I feel like they get done faster. Probably not true, but Threads of Gold, Anne Passfield. It says the sampler was dated 1828, has a perfectly symmetrical border composed of strawberries. This was the most liked of all sampler borders and is found often in many early English samplers. It's hard to imagine a 7-year-old stitching a sampler this size with 4 alphabets and numerous borders and motifs. All of the flowers, animals, and birds are identical on each side. Well, good for her. Amazing. All right, that's just a few more. This is from Handwork Samplers, the American Eagle sampler. That's interesting. I haven't seen that one before. Well, I haven't seen any of these before, but unsigned and undated, filled with motifs, most likely mid-19th century. And then Sarah Ann Jones. Now this is a very symmetrical kind of a sampler. Again, a very cool border on that one by Handwork Samplers. Sarah Ann Jones, 1839. She was 12 when she completed her sampler. And then we have the FL 1727 Dutch sampler. Again, this looks like some interesting stitches going on in there, again by Handwork Samplers. Interesting different stitch work. 1803 Judith Townsend sampler. This is a Quaker sampler from the collection of the DAR Museum. I really like Quaker samplers anymore. Just have to be careful when you're stitching those motifs. June Grigg presents the Jane Grigg sampler. Well, that's just beautiful. Love the colors in that one. Well, this is interesting. Earth Threads by Betsy Steiner. Look at those birds in the border. That's kind of fun. Not expected. Don't know if this is a... Doesn't say it was a reproduction. It may be an original. Let's see. 3 more, I think. Herman of Copenhagen. I'm going to do one of those samplers. Look at this one. I think all of these are just like such a work of art, all of the Perman samplers, because they're massive and they involve so much in the stitching. So that's the Farmer Sampler, it says. Farmer Sampler by Perman. And then here's another Perman, Zealand 1763. Now those colors are gorgeous, but holy cow, is there a lot going on in that sampler, right? Just beautiful. I don't know which of these. I'm going to start with that other big popular permanent one and we'll see where I go. But this one, I mean, do you not just have to stitch this? Oh, sampler Anno 1761. Yeah, I need to stitch that. It's huge, 450 stitches by 370 stitches. So even on 40 count, there's figuring on the back. Even on 40 count, it would be 23 by 19. Good grief. But again, really cool stitches, like not just cross stitches, but some fun stuff going on too. So I am thrilled to have those. I also got a bunch of other patterns in that grouping as well, which I would probably, I don't know, put up for sale in store in the shop. I'm not going to photograph all of those, but I will share some of those with people who love them. But these are all ones that I pulled out thinking, yeah, I've got to stitch basically all of these. I don't know. I have so much stitching to do. I have to live forever to get it all done. And that's okay. We've talked before about how sometimes it's just, even having the pattern is just inspiring and makes you feel creative and you just love looking at it. Not everything has to be stitched, but sometimes it's just lovely to have it and to be able to look at it and be able to ponder and think about it. So I hope you enjoyed that. I know this was another long video. I'm trying to get back to my 55 minutes, which is where my sweet spot is, and but there've just been too many things to share with you the last two videos. All right, that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I love having you watch. I feel like we're friends because you talk to me in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye-bye.